So about 6 months ago, I remembered I had free will and decided to do something about it. After weighing many options, I decided that I was going to take a solo trip to good old colorful Colorado as I've never been. For this trip, though, I needed some form of mission statement, some form of idea of what to do. Obviously, I wanted to see Colorado and the Rocky Mountains, but what more could I find out about myself? What lessons could I learn? What experiences could I have? What dad lore could I bring to the table? The purpose of this video is to share my experiences and hopefully inspire someone to take an adventure or solo trip of their own. This video is going to be heavily rooted in a philosophy and ideology of the whole experience, not so much so talking about the facts and statistics. There's not going to be really too much scientific data behind any of it. Certified Frankie moment. But first, I decided to do a little bit of research on the subject, as I am clearly not the first person to think of this or to actually do something like this. It turns out a lot of people my age are actually quite interested in this idea. We've seen an uptick in solo traveling between Gen Z and millennials from any generation previously. A couple theories on this might be COVID. Some are saying that the independence taught through that might have been a factor into it. I'm more on the side of thinking it's a logistical thing. It's expensive and it's very hard to organize a group of people going on a trip together, especially if everybody is an adult with their own life. So after finding some tips and tricks, I need to get logistics out of the way. First and foremost, I was going to be driving from where I live all the way over to Colorado. It's only 9 hours, so not too terrible, I guess. Luckily, my girlfriend does work at a hotel chain, so I was able to get a slight discount on hotel room. Not bad. I put my PTO in at work, 9 to 5, let's go. And then I just had to wait. During that waiting period, I did do a bit of training when it came to hiking, as I knew I was going to be going to Rocky Mountain / Garden of the Gods in Colorado Springs, so I did need to be a little bit more prepared. After getting the last couple of hiking-related gear, I needed to find a way to save a little bit of money, as especially gas at this point in time was quite expensive. I decided to let eating take a back seat. I bought a bunch of lunch meats, crackers, beef sticks, etc., etc., etc. I wanted to eat out as little as I physically could. After driving 9 hours, especially through Nebraska, like any sane person, I was a little out of it. I got to the hotel around 4 p.m. and I unloaded everything and decided I still need to do something with the rest of my day. I was staying a little bit east of Denver, so I decided to go into downtown Denver. This was not the best choice, as it was quite congested, heavy traffic, just a lot going on. I didn't really have anything I was specifically doing. I was just kind of driving around there. It was all in all not very good. I decided to, I'm getting a little frustrated here. So I went to a neighborhood that had kind of like a scenic trail, I guess, with a little bit of mountains in the background. I decided to walk that. It made me feel a little better, but I'll be honest, I was a little frustrated. I thought to myself, I just drove here 9 hours. I spent all this money on gas and food, and I'm just sitting here alone, nothing to do, right? So I decided, I'm just going to go back to the hotel room, sleep it off, and we'll reassess this all in the morning. Fast forward to the next day, and I decided I did want to go to Rocky Mountain day one. Now, I'm going to let you know a little tip. Do not stay in Denver if you want to go to Rocky Mountain, as it is a 2-hour drive there and a 2-hour drive back. Clearly, I was not planning this correctly. So I drove up. I actually went through Loveland because I went to this diner that my parents recommended. Shout out Doug's Diner. Was fantastic. Had a breakfast burrito. Loveland was beautiful. I actually extremely like Loveland. It was really beautiful. It was super. I can't get enough of it. The lake they had there was super cool. It was a good feeling all around being there. Drove up through that. Went all the way through into Estes Park, which is also just stunning. I mean, Estes Park and the surrounding area, like the Roosevelt Forest, is just, oh my gosh. I've driven through Pennsylvania a little bit before, so I've seen some of the mountains, but it was never to this extent. It was just, it was beautiful. Anywho, so I go up all the way through there, and I get actually into Rocky Mountain, and I wanted to go to this place called Chasm Lake. You could search up the trail on all trails or whatever. It was just really scenic looking. It was about 10 miles. So I get up to the trailhead and I noticed it said, you need a pass. And where the rangers were supposed to be, there was no one there. It said you could do it online, but I was in the middle of Rocky Mountain with no phone reception, so there was no way I could do that. So I went down a little bit to a little trail I saw beforehand, just kind of talk to some of the locals, maybe see what the deal is with that. I didn't want to get a fine or anything, I guess. I don't know. I've never been there. I went down there, talked to a couple guys. They were like, oh, dude, we haven't had a pass in days. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I walked around the little loop that it was like a 1 mile little basically a little pond lake kind of deal. It was scenic. There was mountains in the back and everything. It was pretty. But I decided to then go up to the original trail I was going to do. I went up there and I see this guy get out with his dog. It was this beautiful German Shepherd. I mean, just stunning dog. And so I go up to him in the dog, and I'm like, first and foremost, beautiful dog, by the way. And I was like, do you happen to have a pass? Like, I'm just not trying to get, in any trouble or anything here. It's my first time. And he was like, no. He's like, to be honest with you, I don't. He's like, he was more worried on the fact that it said that he couldn't bring dogs up. I was like, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. Him and I started walking, chit-chatting a little bit, and then he asked me, he's like, do you just want to do the whole thing together? I was like, sure. So him and I keep walking up, and let me tell you what, the beginning of the trail isn't anything too special. I live in Iowa, and so I've done a lot of trails around here, and about this point in time up in Rocky Mountain during our trail, it was not anything too crazy. Like, the drive up there, don't get me wrong, was insane. But like where I was at, it was nothing too much. We keep going, we keep going, we keep going. It's getting a little better. We're getting a little bit higher up. And then we finally see these two kids. I say kids, I mean about 18, coming down. They look a little distressed. And they're like, dude, like, there's snow about 5 feet deep up there. And him and I look at each other and we're like, there's no way it's 5. Like, I'm 6 foot. There's no way it's 5 feet deep. It's not happening. And they were like, no, dude, we can't go any further. And they were like, well, we'll show you where it's at, though. So we just walk up there and we just keep walking. They eventually point out to where they got stuck, but we just all keep walking. We keep going, we keep going, we keep going, we keep going. And by this point in time, we're getting pretty high up there. It is gorgeous up there. I mean, just absolutely stunning up there. Now, I will say, the one thing about me is I'm quite a headstrong individual. So when people were telling me about the altitude difference and sickness, I was like, yeah, maybe for that guy, but me, no way. It's extremely real. By the time I was up there, I was huffing and puffing bad. The guy I was with was keeping up just fine, and I was like, dude, like, how are you? He's a firefighter. So yeah, obviously he could handle this. This is no problem for him. So I'm climbing up there and stuff, right? I'm taking deep breaths every time I can. I'm stopping every like 2 minutes for a breath. It was just, it was getting up there. It got to the point where I was starting to want to quit. I was going through up there and I was like, man, this is treacherous. I mean, the snow was pretty deep. I'll be honest with you. There was a couple times that like the snow was really loose, and so when I would step thinking it would be firm, I would fall all the way to my hips. Not 5 feet, but it is a good 3 feet deep. So we keep going. They're all kind of ahead of me. They're all like, oh, we got, a couple of miles left. I'm like, we got a couple of miles left, and it's uphill, right? I'm tired. I wanted to quit. I wanted to quit so bad. I sat there for a second, breathing extremely heavy, thinking to myself, man, this is not it. I cannot do this. This is not worth it. I'm not built for this. I have no way of getting back. I don't want to have to call like airlift or anything. That'd be terrible. So I sat there for a minute. I have a couple of my snacks, and then they convinced me, and they're like, well, we'll just keep going. We'll just keep going. So I just keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. And I am so absolutely glad and so absolutely thankful that I was able to keep going and that I did keep going. Because after that little stretch of, this kind of sucks, we started getting into the really scenic parts of the trail. And it was just absolutely stunning. I'm going to be showing some videos of the actual trip, but I hope you know that none of the videos that I actually take show any justice or give any form of justice or credit to how beautiful it actually was up there. Stunning. Absolutely stunning. I've never seen anything like it in my entire life. My jaw was just to the floor the entire time. Truly, truly, truly. So we get up, we keep going, we keep going. We finally get to the edge of the trail. We finally get to Chasm Lake, and it was just, oh my gosh, it was so stunning. Luckily, too, the way back is significantly easier than going up there, which honestly helped. We were able to get back in about half the time it took us to get up there. All in all, it took us probably close to 7 to 8 hours. We did about 10 miles, I would say closer to 9 miles, and about 2,600 feet of elevation. So pretty intense, right? After that, I got the phone number of the main guy I was with, said our goodbyes and everything like that. I went on my way to another 2-hour drive back to Denver. Very nice, lovely. After that, the next morning, I get a text from him saying, hey, we should hit Sky Pond, this trail, and he sends me the link to the trail. I woke up and my legs were shot. I was sore, even like my lower back was sore. I'm a pretty fit, I go to the gym and work out quite a lot. I'm a pretty fit individual. and I was sore. And so at first I was like, oh, shoot, man, I don't know. This might not be it. And he was like, dude, no, he's like, come on. And something finally convinced me to just go. So I got my stuff ready, got that 2 hour drive out of the way, got all the way over there. I couldn't find parking at the place I wanted to, so we basically had to park a little bit up, and then I had to make my way down. Finally got to the trailhead, and we went on, and it was just stunning as well. We kept going, and this trail, honestly, I like the hike to Sky Pond significantly more, especially at the beginning. There's a lot more stuff to see. It's a lot more scenic, but we start going, and this one's about a 10 mile with around 24 to 2,600 feet of elevation. So we start going, we see waterfalls and stuff. It's beautiful. We're going up. Everyone's just kind of friendly, by the way. That's what I love. That's another thing I loved about being in Rocky Mountain. Everyone's just super nice, like just really nice. Everyone's like, hey, how's it going? Beautiful day. Have a good hike. It's very super, super friendly. So we keep going, and eventually, probably about, 2 miles in, we see this guy kind of on our trail a little bit. He's about our age. Me and the firefighter are about the same age. We see this guy come up, and we just start chit-chatting with him for a little bit. We're talking a little bit, and he just decides to go with us as well. So now we got our third crew member of our party. We keep going, we keep talking, we keep chit-chatting. And I wanted to make a mention that a lot of the things that we were chit-chatting, talking about was, and I think honestly a great theme for this video, is the struggle that it took and the endurance and the ability to overcome something that was hard or you wanted to quit. It is such a blessing to be able to struggle and overcome that struggle. It is such a blessing. When I went to the first day, right, going up the trail stuff, I wanted to quit so bad. The thing is, the reason that to me the area was so scenic, and the reason to me that it felt so special being up there and that no picture could represent or, redepict, is that I struggled to get up there. It wasn't that an airplane or a helicopter airlifted me down to this area and then airlifted me back. If that was the case, don't get me wrong, the area was still beautiful, but it wouldn't have given me that same level of impact. It wouldn't have been as impactful as if somebody just came and dropped me off. The idea that I had to struggle and work for something made the end result so much better. And that is one thing that we consistently talked about. And to be honest with you, I think it's something that can be brought into everyday lives. In order to experience true, I don't know if I want to say bliss, but in order to experience true feelings towards something, especially ones on the side of optimism, you're going to need to struggle. You're going to need to get outside of your comfort zone. If you sit in your comfort zone all the time, you're never going to be able to get out there. You'll never experience anything new. Everything is going to be mundane. I'm somewhat of a routine. During my life at home, I have a pretty strict routine. Every week's pretty similar, I'll be honest with you. And I'm good at that routine. I've done it for years now. I know what to do. But the idea of being thrown outside of your routine and having to constantly think on your feet, get ready for something, not know what to expect, not know what's next. It's truly something I think everybody needs to experience for themselves at least once a year. At least once a year, even if it's for a day, even if it's for a week, and even like me, it's for a full week. Get outside of your comfort zone a little bit. Try something that you've never tried before. Try something that you want to try. This experience will never leave me. I will never forget the experience and the time I've had here. I mean, we went so far. I'll show you very many photos and videos from my trip and stuff in this. And we went super far on the Sky Pond, and I mean, there was a lot of great experiences there. But the overall idea of this all is you need to just get out there and experience something new. You cannot be stagnant and expect new results to happen. You can't be stagnant and expect to get some form of excitement out of your life. I was lucky enough to be able to take a solo trip for a week to Colorado. Not everyone's in that position to be able to do something like that. And a solo trip does not necessarily have to be a week in Colorado. A solo trip could be something as simple as maybe a weekend trip. It could be a brand new restaurant by yourself. Something that you want to try. Everyone's in different circumstances, but I truly believe that everybody can do something outside of their comfort zone that they want to do. I could sit here and talk about my actual trip for hours. I mean, clearly it was fun and I had a great time. But again, the point I really want to bring home is stepping outside of your comfort zone and experiencing new things is not only how we grow as people, but it's how we feel fulfilled as people. Trying something new, experiencing something you've never done before, getting uncomfortable, being in situations that aren't necessarily fun, but you know are worth it in the end. The best things in life require hard work. You cannot just be given everything in life. And even if you are, it's not a sense of, accomplishment. There's no accomplishment to being given things. I don't like being given things necessarily. I like working for things, being like, I did that. When I was up there on the mountains, those photos I have, I could show you and you might be like, yeah, it's kind of cool. But to me, these photos represent the fact that I struggled. It represents the fact that I sat there, I was uncomfortable, I wanted to quit, but I didn't. I kept going and I finally was able to reach the destination that I wanted to. I didn't even know if I could. I genuinely, when I went on those trails, thought to myself, well, worst comes to worst, I'll just turn around, And to be fair, that is true. But the fact that I did it, I will never forget. That trip as a whole, I will never forget. And I just truly want to be able to push somebody, inspire somebody maybe to try doing something like that for themselves. Again, it's not necessarily going to be a Colorado trip for you. It might not even be something that lasts a full day, but trying something to get outside of your comfort zone, doing something that you don't think you can do well, doing something that you think, oh, I can't do this for X, Y, or Z reason. Do it. Try it. Just do it, because I guarantee you, to those that have something like that they want to do, but they for some reason feel like they can't, when you do it, oh man, that is just the best. That is absolutely the best feeling there ever is. So thank you. Also, real fast shout out to my car. Genuinely could not have done this without you. Thank you, car.